In this video, we're going to be continuing to backtest gold using my simple structure and liquidity based strategy. Let's jump right into the video. Alright guys, so continuing from where we left off last time, let's just zoom back out to the higher time frame to see where price is currently trading. So last time, what we were looking at, if you guys remember, we saw that on the weekly time frame, price had swept all of these weekly lows. We had left these two equal highs just above, and we had this big push towards these highs, but price was also reacting from this weekly supply. So we said that we were looking for some shorter term sells, and then here we had that move. However, what we can see now is that price has sort of retested into daily demand zone, and it has given us a push away from that zone. So if we mark that on, we can see that overall, daily time frame is still bullish. We had this big push up. I'm reading this current move as a retracement for then potential continuations higher, particularly as well because you did have that main daily structure just here broken. So let's go down to some of the lower time frames and see what price is currently doing. So what we can actually see, I'm just going to go on the 1 hour to make this clearer, is that we did have this initial change of character down here after price wicked out those lows to the left. As we can see, I'm going to mark that on as well, just like that. And price looks to be retracing, but we could just be reading this as a retracement rather than a complete reversal. So what I would look for is maybe a retest into the supply zone, sorry, the demand zone down here after all of the internal liquidity has been taken out. Okay, so let's see if price gives us a reaction within this zone. If it does, we can then look to continue buying up. So lower time frame structure is still bearish currently. We want to see a lower time frame shift first of all. There you go. So you've kind of had, well, you have had that 15-minute change of character. There isn't currently any imbalance though within this range, so I wouldn't take an entry just yet. There you go. You kind of got that imbalance. You've then had price create this sort of imbalance demand. So I'm going to enter here, and we're going to have stops covering this low, and we're going to target a 1 to 3. For you guys that haven't seen any of the previous videos as well, we are just targeting 1 to 3 mechanically every single trade. And I think I mentioned this last time, but the purpose of that is just to kind of remove as much discretion as possible and make the strategy as free from human error as possible. So here we have just come into that demand. Price did sweep the demand low, but there we go. Started to get the rally now. Could see one last grab of this low. If it comes any lower than that though, it's probably going to hit stop loss. I'm going to get a re-entry here actually. So we had change of character just there. After the low was swept, we've now had this sort of build up of liquidity above this demand zone, which was left imbalanced. So when I'm doing a re-entry like this, I will make the initial trade break even just so that I only have 1% in open risk. And I'll go slightly more aggressive with the stop loss on this second position and have it just below this demand. And again, we're going to target a 1 to 3. So I'm just going to align a 1 to 3 with this previous high because I see that getting taken out. So we didn't want to do market execution. wanted to set a limit order. There we go. Limit order is set. Nice, this is looking good. Oh, there we go. Literally a perfect trade, that one. So we had a sweep of those previous lows, and then price pretty much went straight to take profit in around 30 minutes or so. So if we zoom back out now, we can see this was our initial change of character. Price pulled back, pushed up, and then we've had another break of structure. So this is the current trend that we're looking to trade. I always tell all of my students to focus on both the external and internal structure. So the external structure at the moment is obviously this high up here. That would be the main bullish trend high that you're currently looking at. But after price comes into that higher time frame demand zone, you want to be following the internal bullish structure up to that external high. So in this case, this is our internal structure. So we want to be looking to trade this. And again, just looking for some pullbacks for some potential re-entry opportunities. So we have this sort of demand zone. You have this one down here as well. Let's monitor for an entry within this one though, first of all. There you go, there's your 5-minute change of character. We have this sort of imbalance down here. So I'm going to enter there, stops just below that low. Again, 1 to 3 target. I'm going to make the stop slightly bigger just so it's a 1 to 3. And we'll place the limit. Doesn't look like it's coming back for us. Still valid, so I'm going to leave the limit for now. Damn, so slightly missed by like a couple of pips or so, and then hit take profit. Analysis was good though, so no complaints there. Followed the plan and just ended up missing the limit. So we now had another breaker structure. Again, very simple, this strategy. I'm just looking to follow this internal trend up to that external high, or whenever price wants to show us that this trend is going to end. But currently it hasn't done that, so we can look for more buys. There we go. So price has now taken out that external high. So we can now mark this as a breaker structure, and we can also get rid of all of this down here because that's no longer relevant. Okay, so very clearly price is bullish if you just look at all of the momentum coming into the market. The next liquidity target that I would have would probably be this high. So if price can come up, sweep that, we could either see a small correction or a complete reversal. I would probably suggest that this would just be a small retracement for then continuations up if price does sweep that, because overall higher time frame is still bullish overall. So yeah, I'm just gonna mark this on with a line as well, just so we know when price has taken it out. And we could look for some counter trend sells once that liquidity is taken out. Not really seeing any points of interest to buy from though at the moment. Yeah, nothing just yet. Just gonna play it on a little bit more. Maybe if we get a retest into this area. The liquidity level has just been swept, but price did come into it with a lot of momentum, so I wouldn't really want to be short in the market here. See if we can get a push into that demand. You could also see price go from here actually. This would be another valid point of interest. Grab that low, which was the Asian low. Tapped into this sort of imbalance, and I'm guessing this was market open on Sunday. Yep, there we go. So if we see some sort of change of character here, I'm happy to look for buys. But currently there's not really any 5-minute structure unless price can come up and break this high. Yeah, there we go. This isn't really something that I would look to enter, to be honest. Maybe if we get... So how we can read this now is that price has kind of swept this low. 5-minute was overall bearish, but once that low was swept, price broke this high and has kind of created these equal highs up here as well. So what I would look for would be the potential sweep of this low leading into this imbalance just below, and then another confirmation. So right here, if price can flip back bullish, I'm happy to buy, and it has actually just done that. So I'm just going to enter here, market execution, and I'm going to be looked to targeting a 1 to 3 like always. I'm happy to target past these highs because I do see that getting hit anyway. There we go. I'm just going to change this to market execution. There we go. Nice push so far. Cool. Nice one. There we go. So have you guys understood why I took that trade? We basically had sweep of Asia low, change of character on the 5-minute. I wasn't seeing like a clear area of demand to enter from, so I waited for a retracement, saw that liquidity was taken out within this range, and then I saw that price had flipped back bullish on lower time frame, so I just simply entered market execution, because when you have a trading opportunity like that, there's not really any point waiting for a pullback to get a sniper entry. Or a super precise entry. It's much better just to be in the trade rather than miss the whole move completely. So once again, still looking to continue buying. We zoom back out to higher time frame. The next liquidity target that I would look for would be the top of this supply zone right here. I'm not going to be looking to short from this supply zone because I think that's what the majority of people would be doing in this scenario, because you know, they'd probably be reading this as like a change of character, then a retest of this supply, but I don't want to try and fight this bullish momentum that we have here. So yeah, let's see. Not currently seeing any buying points of interest. Very corrective at the moment. Notice how though it's kind of building liquidity above this high after having tapped into this supply zone, which is why I said a lot of people are going to be looking to short the market here, which is why we want to be looking for some buying opportunities instead. So quite like this actually as a point of interest. We've had retest into this demand zone after this low was swept and this low was swept. So let's see if we get a change of character here. I wouldn't consider this one because you didn't break this wick, so this here wasn't really a lower high in my opinion. Oh, probably some news came out there. Big wick. Okay, so now you've also swept this low. Price is still moving very correctively. One thing we could also see, I've just noticed, we have this supply zone, sorry, this demand zone just below those lows. But yeah, equally price could still go from here because we have taken out some decent amounts of liquidity. So let's see if we get a change of character here. Looks like price wants to come lower, maybe to take out that low once again. But notice how when it's coming down like this, it's moving very, very correctively, building liquidity above these highs. So this is unlikely going to be a reversal in my opinion. It's just going to be most likely a pullback for more buys. Okay, we've swept that demand. We also have this one down here as well. Could see a reaction from that. Technically, between this low and this high, that's the whole trading range. So ideally now, because price has come into a discount, this is the sort of optimal level to buy in because we've had that bigger pullback. There we go. We've got some volume coming in. We have also just had that change of character, as we can see here. That's clear on the 5 minute as well if you guys can't see it. So there we go. That was that current lower high. You've got this area of demand. It's quite a big region, but I think the risk to reward will still be worth it if we look to enter from here. Stops just below that low. And can we get a 1 to 3 targeting the liquidity? Almost. I'm just going to make the entry slightly lower just so it is a 1 to 3. There we go. And the target, if you, sorry, was meant to do a limit order there. Let's go back and redo that. Cool. So if you guys missed it, the target that I'm looking for is that 4-hour liquidity. So the top of this supply zone, which is actually slightly higher. There we go. There's also imbalance above, so could see a reaction once that is swept. Let's see if this pulls back though. No, so didn't manage to get tagged into that one. We have now had another break of structure though. And that liquidity level was also swept. But like I said before, price is still very bullish. I'm not really interested in selling this, to be honest. Just because I don't want to fight that overall higher time frame narrative. So yeah, I'm going to look for more buys if we get a retracement. Okay, so let's have a look here. Could see maybe retest into this demand. You've got some previous lows resting above it as well. There we go. So price has retested into the demand. Not really any 5 minute structure though at the moment, unless you considered this a change of character, but I wouldn't personally do that because this low did not close below this wick. So it doesn't fit my criteria for valid structure. Only thing I would see is if price breaks above this 5 minute structure, and then we can look for a pullback for the buys. If not, we could see a regrab of the lows, maybe. Yeah, there we go. Regrab of these lows. Still within that demand zone though, so this is still a valid zone. And again, for the change of character, in this case, I would need to see it break this high all the way up here. So not really too much. Cool, there we go. So this looks quite like a nice trade. We've had change of character. We then have this imbalanced demand down here. And you have some sort of inducement above it as well. So I'm going to set this limit just on that demand, and I'm going to look to target this high. Slightly smaller stops, no need to have it all the way down there. Let's see if it can pull back. Yeah, there we go. So that ended up being a loss actually. First loss of the session, but doesn't really matter. It was a valid setup anyway. Yeah, that was annoying. So price literally just took us out and then rallied to the take profit. We can kind of see it reacted from like this 15-minute demand, but to be honest, that's not really something that I would have entered from. So I'm happy to have taken a loss there. Was a valid setup. Direction was correct, and we basically just had a too tight of a stop loss. Cool. So now I'll look to buy up to the next liquidity level, which is this high. Point of interest wise, you could see price maybe come into this 4-hour zone. Okay, so that external liquidity was now taken. So we've now had a main breaker structure, and this, if you guys remember, was that external trend high on the daily time frame, in fact. So we can get rid of all of this because this is now irrelevant, because this was the internal structure. Remember, when we are between demand and, sorry, if we're in a bullish trend and we're between where we think the higher low is going to be and the current higher high of the trend, we're looking to trade that internal structure up to that level. So in this case, we've had a main daily trend breaker structure as well. And yeah, just looking for bullish continuations at the moment. So let's see if we can get a pullback. This demand zone here is still valid for me. There's not really anything above it either, so could now look at this zone instead. You've got like a sort of inducement above it. There we go. So this low was swept. This one was also taken out. So I think you could see a reaction here. It's very likely. If not, we can look at this lower zone. Again, not really any 5-minute structure for it to break just yet. Unless maybe you get a regrab at that low. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to now look for that lower zone, since price didn't react from this initial demand. Yeah, there we go. So it's clearly gravitating towards that zone now. Not looking to buy above it. There we go. I think it just tapped into it. Right. So yeah, so this looks pretty good. We've had a 15-minute inducement swept. Now all I need to see is this high get taken out. That would be our change of character. And just a reminder as well, the reason that I'm looking for an entry on the 15-minute time frame in this case is because the 15 and the 5-minute structure are the same. If you look on the 5-minute, this is your current lower high structure, and on the 15-minute, this is exactly the same. So that's, if you guys are a little bit confused on what time frame I do my entries, I usually do the 5-minute, but if the 15 and the 5-minute structure are exactly the same, I'll just enter on the 15-minute or still on the 5-minute, depending on how it, on which time frame the structure is cleanest, basically. Yeah, there we go. So perfect entry confirmation there. We've had change of character, very clear level of demand, and you've also had a lot of momentum coming up into that high. So I'm going to enter here. We're going to go for a 1 to 3. Place this order. There we go. Very clean reaction so far. And there we go. Didn't expect it to be that fast, but there we go. So now, like I said before, we've come down. This low here is what we're anticipating is going to be the current higher low. So we're looking for something like this, where price has formed a higher high, pulled back, and now we're looking for it to do this and come up into this previous trend high. So what we're looking to do on the lower time frames is now follow this internal structure up to that external high, right? So we can now identify this breaker structure. We now look for another pullback to potentially get back in on the longs. So let's have a look if there's a valid zone to get in on the longs. Okay, so on the 5 minute, you sort of have this liquidity level, maybe, if that was taken out. Or it could just go from here because it did take out this demand zone as well. But there's not an entry confirmation just yet, so I'm going to wait and see what happens. Yeah, there we go. So we've now had another breaker structure. So now we look for another pullback into the range. Could maybe see this demand zone retested. If not, a sweep of this level would also be fine. Just also going to be careful once price has taken this liquidity as well. Could see a reaction from that. Yeah, there we go. So retest into the demand. Let's see if we can get an entry here. Again, though, there's not really any 5 minute structure unless it breaks this high. But if it does break that high, it's already pretty much at that main trend high anyway. So probably not going to get a confirmation there. And there we go. So price has now continued up. Again, still looking to buy up into this high. I think some people would be viewing this as a change of character, and then you have this sort of supply zone here. But because on the daily time frame it hasn't really come into like a valid point of interest to the left, I wouldn't really want to short this, especially because you still have those equal highs above. So it did kind of take out this daily liquidity and then react, but personally I'd want to only be buying. Actually, maybe you could potentially look for some sells within this supply, just because it did cause this change of character. Liquidity was taken out, and you know, you have a decent amount of previous lows down here as well that were untested. So I'm going to look for some sells here, but only if we get a very clear confirmation. Yeah, something like that. That was nice. So you've had that change of character. Could see maybe a retest of this supply. Okay, nice. I'm going to enter here, market execution, stops just above, and we will go for a 1 to 3. Cool, there we go. Quite a nice trade. If you were uncertain about this as well, you could have waited for it to retrace into the supply and then had a 5 minute confirmation in that zone, which to be honest, you didn't really get that anyway. That would be a lower probability setup if I was going to take that live, because it is counter trend, and I was only expecting a small reaction within this zone because it was a previous unmitigated supply. But what I'm looking for now is for price to potentially come and take out these lows. You also have a demand zone down here, which you could see retested into. So 2 points of interest at the moment, either this previous liquidity or if price comes lower into that demand zone. Yeah, there we go. So we sold straight through that low. Now looking for price to retest into the demand. There we go. Price has retested into demand, swept previous higher time frame lows into it. So now we can look for our 5-minute confirmation. There we go. We got exactly that. Change of character just there. And you have this 5-minute demand. So I would just enter on this. Stops below the low. Targeting a 1 to 3 once again. Well, that was quick, so quick loss on that one. Again, though, that was fine. It was a valid setup. We are still trading within this demand zone. So if we do manage to see a change of character here, this would still be valid. Yeah, there we go. So now you've got that 15-minute change of character. You've got this imbalanced demand down here. So I'm going to look for a retrace into that. Stops below. Targeting just up here. Cool, so there we go, tagged in. Just going to mark this on as well because I didn't mark the change of character. We also had like an inducement above it. If you miss the initial entry, this would be when I would look for a second entry possibility because you've retested into this demand, swept that initial tap of the zone. So I would look on the 5-minute here if I wasn't in this initial entry. If I was, then I wouldn't look for another entry. But yeah, if you've got a perfect opportunity here, you could enter on this 5-minute demand because you've had that 5-minute change of character. So I'm going to do sort of a risky entry here, have stops 20 pips just below that demand, and I'm going to make the initial entry break even, and we're going to target a 1 to 3. It doesn't look like it wants to pull back anyway, so that's fine. Nice, there we go. So TP hit on that one. And what I would look for now, I'm just going to clear up some of this as well. So yeah, basically just looking to buy back up into these highs. That's what I see overall, higher time frame. For a first target, you could maybe look at this supply zone since it caused sort of a change of character and you have liquidity above it. But yeah, mainly looking for a retracement to continue buying. Maybe this zone after that low gets taken. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to buy here. Stops just below that low. Target a 1 to 3. And we're going to do market execution on that. Yeah, there we go. So that was a loss. Valid trade though. So no complaints there. Still seeing prices bullish, but maybe we need to retest. Sort of had this demand. yeah, so a lot of lows have now been taken out. So you've had these lows grabbed, and you've also had these lows grabbed. This pullback is very corrective as well. Did the 5 minute flip bullish? Yeah, so the 5 minute actually flipped bullish as well, just there. So I'm going to go for a bit of a riskier entry, have stops just below the low, and we're going to go for this high if it's a 1 to 3, which it's not. So I'm going to wait for a pullback, see if we can get in at slightly lower price. Cool, so there we go. And you kind of had a break of this high, but price didn't close above it. So I would look for maybe if this low is swept, we can look for some buys. There you go, you've had a 5 minute change of character. But unless price can come down all the way into this zone, this is not something I would take. Yeah, so there you go. So re-broke that high anyway. It's kind of approaching that sell zone as well. There we go. So came into that supply zone. I'm happy to look for a counter trend opportunity in this zone, just because you could be reading this as a change of character, retest into supply, and then you've kind of had that internal change of character as well. So yeah, let's look for some shorter term sell opportunities in this zone. So this is the low that I want to see broken at the moment. Yeah, so there you go, kind of got that change of character. As for a zone for it to pull back into, could maybe see this supply zone retested. And I'm going to set a limit on that actually. Stops just above that high, there's no need to have any higher than that. And again, 1 to 3, which aligns quite nicely with that previous low. Again, I keep doing market execution, but it's supposed to be a limit order. See, can it pull back or not? Doesn't look like it. Once this low gets swept, I'm going to delete the limit. Yeah, there we go. Invalid for me now. Like I said, I was only looking for shorter term sells. You now have seen price came to this demand, and it has also taken out this main low as well. So I would look for some more buys in this zone. Let's have a look. 5 minute again for confirmations. I need to see this structure broken. Cool, so there we go. That structure was broken, and I'm just going to do market execution just there. And we can get a 1 to 3, which aligns quite nicely with this previous liquidity level. There we go, basically zero drawdown on that one. Nice, there we go. So previous liquidity level was hit. Higher time frame wise though, I think it's likely going to gravitate back towards this high anyway. So yeah, I'm going to look for more buys up into that high. Yeah, so we didn't really get a pullback there, but you have now had this main structure broken. Still looking to buy up into this main high, which I'm going to just mark on. So now maybe you could see this very clear hourly demand retested. Very clear on the 15-minute as well. There we go. So let's have a look for a confirmation here. Took out this low into the imbalance as well. Nice, there we go. So that's our confirmation. Sweep of all of these lows. You then had this change of character. And this is the 5-minute demand which caused it. So I'll look for a retracement into there and we can get a nice 1 to 3. If I have a slightly bigger stop loss, but I'm going to target this main high. Again, I need to stop doing market executions. It needs to be a limit order. There we go. Nice, tagged in, and we did get a break of that structure. So trade looks good. Let's see if it plays out. Nice, there we go. So you did actually have a sweep of that initial entry, but it doesn't matter because our stop loss protected the low. And cool, so ideally in the live market, once you saw all of this, you would have held up into that higher time frame high, but happy with a 1 to 3 regardless, as always. And this video is already probably going to be quite long, so if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to also comment below if you want to see a part 4 to this gold backtesting series, or whether or not you want to see me backtest a different pair instead, which will be released next Friday. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.